Well, we're glad to welcome you here tonight on behalf of Poetry Baptist Church. We appreciate you being here, and it's our honor to host this gathering. And we're going to have a good time tonight. We hope this is going to be very informative to you. We're going to begin with prayer. So would you join me in prayer this evening? Father, I thank you that we live in a country where freedom reigns. We thank you for our country. And it's not just the big national elections that make the news, but Lord, it's at the grassroots. It's where people live, and we make decisions based upon the interest of our people. So thank you for these who've gathered tonight. Thank you for our candidates, and I pray that as we go into this series of questions and answers and introductions, Lord, I pray that you would give each of us an open heart to hear and wisdom to discern. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ann Hamilton. I am the town secretary. And sitting right there is Teresa Scholander. She is the deputy secretary. First of all, I want to thank Pastor Jacobs and his congregation for allowing us so generously to use their church tonight. So we will all try to take care of it and behave church-like. I'd like to start by introducing the panel. So we have two candidates for mayor. On my left is Tara Senkovich, and on my right is Mike Jaffe. We have Ryan, these are the council, people that are running for council. We have, am I gonna say your name right? Ryan Lutz? Yeah. Doug Kendrick with Tracy Hibbs, Terry Fowler, we're missing somebody, Dale Bryant, Jonathan Blake, and Tom Anderson. So we have given all the panel, in case you see, we've given them blank note cards and pens so that they can take notes if they would like to on things they might want to say at the very end. They're going to get to give an opening statement and a closing statement. So if you see them with note cards, those aren't questions, they're all blank. They're just for them to take notes. And then for you guys, just relax, it's not a test. We're not grading you, so just relax and give, the more comfortable you are, the more sincere you are. It'll come across, so just relax. Let's see, what else? We have refreshments here that you can help yourself to. In between, or once the panel is done, the candidates will be out at their tables to answer questions or speak to any of you that would like to know a little more information. So we'll mingle around a little bit and then, help yourself to the refreshments during that time. Other than that, I guess we're ready to go. I would just like to, once again, reiterate that this is their time to speak. Let's be respectful. If we don't agree with something someone says, that's okay. Let's just keep it inside. And we're ready to go. So everybody's going to start with their opening statement. The two mayor candidates will do that first. We'll go with Mike Jaffe and then Tara. So you get 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Do you want to tell them about these?
Oh, yeah, I will. These are just our reminders to show you give you an idea of how much time you have left. And we've got 60, 30, 15, and shut up. So we'll just hold those up so that you have an idea of how much time you have. But you'll have 3 minutes to answer every question, 2 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Yeah, and 3 for closing.
Oh, 3 for closing? Okay. So am I going to sit back here and do the time?
Sit up here.
No, that's fine. I can sit right here.
Good evening. My name is Mike Jaffe, and I'm running for mayor for the town of Poetry. I am a current council member. I've been your council member now for 4 years, and it occurred to me recently that I can serve an even greater purpose by moving over into the mayor's slot, which is why I'm in that race currently. My professional experience is in the telecommunications field. A lot of you would call that the internet, where I was a senior executive for many years, serving in medium to large businesses. Typically, I was in charge of things like operations, engineering, and customer care. Developed a lot of leadership skills and a lot of leadership experience over those years, And I believe that experience translates directly into the role of mayor, where I believe I'll be able to apply those successfully. The things that I stand for, and I'll probably say a couple of times tonight, are one, bringing the citizens back into the town's government. Part of that is involving them more in the meetings. I don't like that we've closed them out of the meetings. I want more people and more voices. I want people to feel heard. So we're gonna bring people back in. Another thing that I would like to see us do is involve citizens in some of the efforts that we have, some of the projects, and I would kind of secondly call that start doing a little bit more delegation, right? We've got 5 other people on the council. We've got a lot of citizens with a lot of experience, a lot of skills, and where they're willing to volunteer, I'd like to take advantage of that. I appreciate your support. And I got 30 seconds, I'm out of here. Thank you.
Oh, you could have gone on.
A little bit
Reset.
taller. Yeah, I gotta reset.
1 second.
Yeah.
The mayor position for the town of Poetry, according to Jana, a 20-year veteran civil servant, is not just a mayor job, but is actually much like that of a city manager. It is not just handing out certificates and taking pictures with babies. Many towns will pay a city manager quite well to do a job which I have done and am willing to do for free for the town, much like when I helped at the poetry school when it was in its infancy. While it has included many sacrifices, such as having to hire folks to cover at my feed store so I can work for the town, missing out on many events, or even eating frozen dinners like 6 days per week, I'm happy knowing that I'm doing what I'm called to do and doing my absolute best. I know that my commission is clear: save the farms and keep poetry as much like poetry as possible. I realize that people do not like change. I suppose some people think I represent change, but I tell you that change is upon us, and in fact the entire state of Texas. And Kaufman is the top fastest growing county in the state. In 2022 and 23, it was the fastest growing in the entire nation. If we do not act, we will succumb and be like every other suburban area. I want to say thank you to those who have held the line when it comes to not selling out for money. We need to continue to fight and hold this back. I do recognize that some who blast me online are from the camp of making money for their own profit, and the town just stands in their way. Yes, if I'm elected, I will continue to stand against high density and negative commercial development. I'm happy to say that we have avoided a 6-lane thoroughfare plan that went right along League Line Road. We have a voice like never before. There are only a few more houses, a new pavilion, a new school building in our sleepy little town, and I think that's just about perfect. Please help me to continue to fight for our area. I'm finally embraced this position, and I'm happy and willing and continue to serve our town for another couple of years if given the opportunity. Thank you.
Now, our candidates are sitting in alphabetical order, so we'll just have you guys continue and go in alphabetical order. So, Tom Anderson, we'll go with you next. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for
Okay.
her to clear out.
I am Tom Anderson. Was elected to Poetry Council in 2021, re-elected in 23. Moved to Poetry in 2002, which has been 23 years ago. I was raised in Edna, Texas, a small rural agricultural town. I have a BS degree in chemical engineering from Texas A&M and an MBA from Lamar University. I was married to Linda Robertson in 1970. She died of cancer in 2012. And I married Evie Harper in 2013. She died of cancer last year, 2024. Lived 7 years in Saudi Arabia, worked and traveled in over 40 countries. Most of my focus in work was always on petroleum refining, gas, chemicals, shipping, and pipelines. And now I see our greatest threat to poetry is the Bishop Field housing development. It's a site of an old abandoned airfield adjacent to Poetry in our ETJ, and it's that development plans for 2,000 houses, a mud on 440 acres, and it adds something like 6,000 to 8,000 people to our area. The infrastructure concerns are the first issue, and it's the construction trucks that'll be recalled will be severely damaging our roads and bridges. The mud will have a lot of water flowing into our creeks and roads, and it'll flood. And in Hunt County, services, schools, police, firefighting, EMTs will be overloaded. Secondly, there's the environmental concerns, and that's TCEQ has records of leaded aviation gasoline jet fuel tanks on site going back many years. The TCEQ has no records of the tanks ever being removed, which is required by law when they're abandoned. And the leaded gasoline and the lead in gasoline is highly toxic. It causes damage to organs and the brain. And Texas has laws for removing abandoned petroleum tanks.
Sorry, kind of so.
2 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let him finish. Just hit start. It'll put it on the channel.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Blake, and I'm running for re-election on the town council. My primary job is husband and father, which I've been really successful at because of my wife, Katana. My daytime job is a auto mechanic, and I've used those skills to learn to communicate with customers and solve problems, and I bring those skills to the table when we're working on problems about the town. The lifestyle that I've enjoyed in my entire adult life is the one I'd like to preserve, and I think I've done that in my first term and would like to continue. Thank you.
Wait 1 moment, please. Come here.
Just hit reset right there. Above reset. There we go.
My apologies.
Dale Bryant. I've been a citizen of Poetry for 32 years. My wife and I, Becky, raised our 2 children here. We, like everyone else, moved out here for the country lifestyle. And we want to keep this as country as we can for as long as we can. But the only way we're going to be able to do that is to prepare for what's coming. And that's to create very strict development criteria. What's going to happen is the developer's going to back off a little bit, which is going to delay the developers coming in. There's other areas around Bay, Roy City, Terrell that they can go in. It's going to be a little easier for them. They're going to go pick the low-hanging fruit, but eventually they're going to come to Poetry, and we have to be ready for that. I've spent 50 years in the real estate business. I've handled all of these types of issues that we're dealing with. I've worked with Siegelville and helping them develop some things. And then I've also, most of you know it, Costco and Rockwall. I worked with Rockwall trying to get some access to get some tax incentives to bring Costco into Rockwall. Again, that's what they wanted. It wasn't a matter of them not wanting it. They wanted that development. So I have a lot of experience with that. I'm retired now recently, and I just want to be able to give you those 50 years of experience to help you out and do what I can to make this a better community. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I want to thank the pastor and the church for hosting us tonight, and I want to really thank all the citizens who's willing to participate in this government process. I believe it's y'all and these individuals that are sitting up here that's going to make this town better. I'm willing to have open discussions with anyone in this room. I'm not taking the route of telling you more about myself as that can be found online. What I wanted to express to everyone tonight in this opening remarks is that I'm here to represent you, and I'm asking for your vote to be a representative, not necessarily just a councilman. That's my job up here. I see many faces in the audience that I have worked with that doesn't necessarily agree with everything that I've done. But over the 2 terms that I've served, I think that we could find some of those people to attest that I am willing to listen and I'm willing to see all sides and look at this from a different perspective. So again, I'm thankful for everybody's attendance, and I hope everybody follows up with their candidates afterwards and asks the questions that maybe weren't asked tonight.
Good afternoon. For those of you that don't know me, I am Tracy Hibbs. I'm here to tell you a little bit about myself. My in-laws moved into this area in 1986, and at my father's passing in 2020, me and my husband and my daughter made this our home. We love poetry. We want to keep poetry just like it is. I'm not for big development. I'm not for subdivisions or anything like that. I don't know how we're going to fix some of those issues, but I'm willing to work on that. Throughout my career as a hairdresser, I've had the pleasure of serving many different types of people. I also work for the 2 largest hair color companies in the world. Throughout my career, I've been fortunate enough to adapt to various situations, whether through training, managing, or caring for others. I have always felt God's strength and guidance supporting me as I navigate joys and challenges as I encounter them. Working with a diverse group of people has helped me to flourish in any environment. Over the years, I have had the pleasure of connecting with many individuals, from everyday people to heroes to movie stars and experts in different backgrounds. I cherish these connections because they have allowed me to gain a whole new perspective on different things, including some of the most complex issues facing our community today. Building and maintaining relationships is something I do on a daily basis. I look forward to building these same relationships with our community and a new town council. Some view me as an enthusiastic advocate for the town, while others see me as abrasive during council meetings. This is because I genuinely care about this community. I am not okay with undermining transparency. I'm not okay.
Sorry, 2 minutes up.
Okay.
Thank you, Tracy.
Good evening, y'all. I appreciate y'all coming. Pastor, thank you for your facilities as well. A lot of hard work in the background. We do appreciate that as well. I'm Doug Kendrick. I come to you, the community, to let you know that I'm here to serve. I've been serving and retired for 46 years in municipal government. And through that time, I've worked hard with budgets, different counties, bringing resources together, and addressing the budgets are always, a challenge every year. But one thing I've always said, there are challenges building a community, but the bigger challenge is how to maintain that community. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of input from the citizens, and a lot of hard work from the council to hear what y'all have to say. And that's why I want to present to you myself as a servant to the community for so many years, and it's just in my blood, and I hope that I can continue to do so by serving you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'll make this short and sweet, so I'm the last. I'm sure you're done listening to all this just chat. I'm Ryan Lutz. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2 daughters, and someone who chooses poetry because, like you, I value the peaceful, rural, independent ways of life out here. After more than 15 years of leading teams in healthcare, where transparency and accountability aren't optional, I'm running for town council to bring the same commitment to serve you. What makes poetry special isn't complicated. It's our space, our privacy, and our freedom from unnecessary government interference. But it doesn't happen by accident. It takes vigilance. As your council member, I will focus on 3 priorities. First, continued and elevated transparency, not just checking a box and saying we're trying to be transparent, but ensuring that you understand the decisions that I'm making on your behalf and why they were made and how it affects your property and your lifestyle. I'll provide plain language explanations for every vote and push documents that are clear and not confusing. Second, protecting what we have. Our current land use standards work at 2.5 acre minimums and limit commercial development. We'll continue to evaluate those and evolve those as times change and the necessity dictates. Third, leadership that listens then acts. While council rules limit debate during meetings, I'll make myself available, after meetings, middle of meetings, before meetings, to really engage and have conversations with anybody and everybody. This isn't about making poetry something new. It's about preserving what already works and keeping poetry the special place it is. But I do promise this: every decision I make will start with one question. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to begin questioning mayor's candidates, and each candidate will ask 3 questions, and then the other one will get 3 questions as well. These will be drawn at random. Okay?
And 2 minutes each.
2 minutes each, yes. 2 minutes each.
So we'll start alphabetically, right?
We'll keep on with it. Mr. Jaffe?
Jackie?
Question number 1. Can you share your vision for the town's development, and what key initiatives will you focus on to drive that growth?
I think the thing that I'd like to see develop, probably most people would answer this based on plats and acreage and all of that, but I think the development I'm more interested in is the development of community. Something that drew me here, and something until the last 3 or 4 years I felt everywhere I went around poetry. I think, the way that I hope to accomplish that is, Terry and others have said, is citizen involvement. Just a willingness to hear citizens' thoughts and ideas, to let them know, as I said earlier, that their voices are being heard. I think the development I would handle, initially, we basically signed a lot of our rights away to the county, and so we're sort of depending on them right now to manage a lot of the development, because most likely it's going to occur in our ETJ, not in the little 311-foot strips up and down our roads. But I would like to see us take that back and come up with our own development plan so that we can determine our future. And I know it's not going to be easy, but I think there are a lot of towns out there that already have those plans written out, and we could simply take one of those, modify it, and start controlling our own destiny. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and repeat the same question for you, so everything's fair. Ms. Mayor, can you share your vision for the town's development, and what key initiatives will you focus on to drive that growth?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the preparation and for allowing us to be here and hosting this. Thank you for everyone who's attended and worked on this meeting tonight. So we're kind of contrary to a lot of towns that we don't want a lot of development. But we do need to recognize that it's upon us. As I've mentioned before, the growth is upon us. So back a year ago, we voted for a minimal zoning plan to cause a limitation of development. It's only 2.5 acres per home. We tried to promote agriculture, so it was only 4 areas: agriculture, larger estates. And so our goal is to keep development in good management. Mr. Jaffe mentioned about subdivision regulations. By state law, we had to allow it to go to the county with the 1445 agreement. At some point, we might want to take that back and develop our own subdivision regulations so that we can curb that as well. But right now, I am so happy that our zoning has been effective in the last year. We have thwarted a handful of negative developments. It has been effective. I'm super stoked about that. It has been very exciting to me, and I look forward to seeing in the future how effective it can really be. And so I think that as we listen to our citizens, a lot of them want to keep it mom and pop type businesses here. And so we're open to that in our in-home cottage businesses as well. And then just trying to keep it the bed and breakfast, or the bedroom community that we currently enjoy so much. We love poetry. We want to keep it looking like it is. Thank you.
Mrs. Jaffe? How do you plan to manage the town's budget to prioritize and fund essential infrastructure improvements while maintaining fiscal responsibility?
You know, I think one of the things we've not done a bad job of over the last 4 years, and we talked about this the last gathering we had, is raising funds to kind of get the town started. We started with zero, as Tara pointed out last time, and very quickly we had money in the bank and we were able to start paying for basic services. And I think we're probably on a pretty good trend. I think there's opportunity out there for us to seek out other sources of revenue. We've talked about grants. We've talked about other kinds of programs that might be available that would bring in money that would allow us to raise money without having to do it on the backs of the citizens, which is something I think all of us are opposed to. That would be taxes. We don't want taxes in addition to what we're already paying. And I think just using the brain power of the council. You know, I am not somebody who thinks I'm the smartest person in the room. In fact, I've always enjoyed surrounding myself with people that were more capable than I am, that are stronger players because they drive me to perform better. And so I think taking advantage of the talent that would be seated with me on the council, the secretaries for their municipal experience, as well as the citizens that want to step up and contribute, because again, I'm not the only one around here that understands budgets and fundraising and money management. And then of course, just making sure that that money is applied to our top priorities, right? One of our priorities is clearly roads. One of them is staying out of jail, right? We have to do the legally required things by the state and the federal government, so we want to make sure that we tend to that. And doing as much as we can to address the other miscellaneous needs of the citizens where we're able, based on having funds available. Thank you.
This will be a different question.
Different question.
Okay.
Yeah. Under your leadership, how do you envision improving our town, and what specific changes or initiatives will you prioritize to make that happen?
Okay, so as Chief Financial Officer of Syncor Group, which I have been in 15 years or more, one of the things is budget that I'll go into this is we've tried to keep our costs down. We don't want a property tax that people wanted to just manage with franchise fees. So we want to, I'm super stoked about, I single-handedly, by God's grace, was able to get us a Texas Department of Agricultural block grant for our roads. So I think improving our roads is a huge task, and I'm looking forward to, we're in the queue for 2026, and I'm super stoked. I would love to be able to finish that. It'll be a lot of work, but I think that's one of those things that I would like to see come to fruition. With the inflation, 3 years ago, a double chip seal road with a concrete base was half of what it is now, but inflation has caused the prices to skyrocket, just like a lot of things in our economy. So I'd like to see with that grant, as inflation goes down and petroleum goes down, I'd like to see that go farther, and so that we can, I would love to see several of our roads completely refurbished. And so that's a huge goal, personal goal of mine. And I'm super excited about the opportunity to maybe look into more research grants. Done one, I'd like to do another dozen if I could. So I'm willing to put in the hard work for that. So thank you.
Mike, for your third question. What specific initiatives will you implement to support and promote local agriculture and farming, and how will you ensure their long-term sustainability?
That's an interesting one I hadn't anticipated. Well, like many of the people sitting here and maybe listening online, I am now a farmer rancher combo. And so I appreciate the ability to be out here growing hay in my case and raising cows. And I also enjoy just interacting with my neighbors. Even Kevin and I bump into each other every once in a while with a loose cow or this or that, just kind of doing something that I love. I don't really know that I have a good answer other than just to make sure that as we consider things like planning and zoning and subdevelopment plans and other things like that, making sure that we anticipate agricultural objectives in each of those initiatives, right? We just need to be thinking about, does that somehow limit our ability? And I'll tell you, one of the things I guess I would say too is just to make sure that the citizens know, we seem to have a lot of people moving out to our part of the world expecting us in poetry to change for them. And there are people moving out here, and I've run into them, that are offended by farming. They're offended by cows, they're offended by tractors, I know, because they blow their horns at me and tear around my tractor as I'm going from ranch to ranch. And I think we just need to make it clear that that is one of our primary objectives, is to be an agricultural community, right? And so we need to be patient. We do have chickens around here, and we have sheep, and we have cows, and they were here before you were here, if you've only moved here recently, and we just need to understand that's just who we are. That's just kind of how we roll. Thank you.
No question.
Poll after poll shows that Americans have lost faith in their elected leaders. What concrete actions will you take to restore trust between local government and the community that it serves?
Good one. Our national politics has been very divided over the last 10, 12 years. It's very significant. In fact, talking with other leaders of other cities, I'm like, man, is it always been this way? And I talk to these longtime mayors, I'm like, no, they'll say a lot of times it's only been in the last 10, 12 years that it's been a lot of vitriol, a lot of division, and it seems to have fallen from the top down. So, one of the things that I've tried to do is I really try and, even when someone is coming across in a very negative, unkind, or maybe even uncivil way, I really try and to boil it down and ask myself if there's any truth to what they're saying. And then if there is, then I can take that to heart and try and rectify that. And then, if it's completely false, then I'll just shuck it off as like maybe they had a bad day. So I think we have had a very transparent government. We have, one of the very first things we did, free of charge to the town, was create a website. So for communication and transparency, and we've tried really hard to keep that up and keep it, and I've authored 51 newsletters, same kind of thing, to kind of a Cliff Note version of our council meetings, because we realize people are busy. We've tried to, have a historical picture of what we're doing as your council. And so I've tried really hard to make sure that we are communicating with our citizens. And then I put my number out there. We have email. I have a lot of people who do come by and talk to me. And that's one of my favorite things, is to see if I can help with people's concerns. So, thank you.
Okay,
We could still do one more. I think we're time-wise. I think we could do
one more for the
each,
mayor?
yeah.
Okay. Mike?
Aren't I lucky?
Yes. From your perspective, what are the most pressing challenges facing our community today, and how do you intend to address them?
Division of our citizens. The thing that I would say, God kind of put this on my heart the other day, was that one of the things I hate about politics is it pulls us away from our humanity. And I think that's a trend I've seen both on a national level, but also on a local level. I don't know if it's just me, because I'm around a lot because I'm retired, so I'm up and down these roads a lot and bump into a lot of people. But I just feel more animosity and more frustration and more division than I felt in 25, 26 years of living out here. And I don't like that. And I have to wonder if some of that isn't emanating from our town hall and our council meetings, where half a dozen or more people will show up just very frustrated, venting and feeling like they're not being heard. One of the things I learned in building successful customer service organizations was you need to listen to people, okay? You don't start out talking, you start out listening. You let them vent, you let them feel heard, And sometimes, in spite of what you've done to wreck their business, and I was in the internet business, so it's typically outages and things, they would always give you the benefit of the doubt back if you were willing to listen to them and hear them out. So I think that's a big issue. And I think, again, involvement in the meetings. I want to bring back comments per agenda item as we deliberate so that people have an opportunity to see where we're at and then offer their comments based on that. Also, having workshops and having an occasional community meeting where we can just sit around and talk without breaking open meetings requirements. Thank you.
All candidates want to protect poetry from development and keep our rural way of life. What separates you from the other candidates?
Well, now that I've had 4 years experience, it was mind-blowing the first 2 years, just like drinking from a fire hose of legal regulations, deadlines. So just that experience now, and so now I have a little bit under my belt, and I think that goes a long way because we're finally hitting a stride. We finally have some secretaries who are learning the ropes and done a good job, and I'm very grateful for that. I also, my husband and I have been 29-year ranchers out here, so we do have that. We did start the agricultural scholarship. We are trying, I've worked really, really hard to promote our rural way of life, even though maybe it was a little contentious about the zoning. It has proven over the last year to be the minimal zoning, to be a balance. And I think that's what we need, a nice balance. It's provided protection for our area that we all want. And so I think that the very fact that we were promoting that and we knew that it was an effective tool. And I realize that some cities will use it as a weapon, but for us it's an effective tool, and we can continue to use that. And I think that the fact that I'm willing to work hard and put the town goals first, and that I'm available, I make myself available on a daily basis to our citizens, and I'm happy to serve. And the fact that we've had a great team of volunteers, I'm so grateful, and we've built a coalition. I do think that I would love to talk to those on the other side of the fence. I've invited them several times to please come talk to me, and I'm open to that always.
Thank you, both of our mayoral candidates, and of course they'll be at their respective tables after this is over, should you have any more direct questions. Now we move to our council member candidates, and we'll continue with the same order. Long question here, short answer. Given that many poetry citizens have stopped attending council meetings in person due to their contentious nature and extended length, how do you plan to foster a more respectful, productive, and approachable environment? What specific steps will you take to discourage negativity and contentiousness while fostering for more respect, productive, and approachable environment for all residents?
Well, I guess I'd first say that we don't want to put down dissent. What we do like is clear, concise, factual statements that give us information we can use on the council. And so what I would encourage is when people have questions and opinions, they have opinions based on facts that are relevant to what we're trying to consider. And then when they have facts, is present facts in a way that we can interpret easily for the issues that we're dealing with at that time. So we don't want to put out questions, we don't want to put out dissent, we want to encourage it. But what's really, really useful is questions and comments and in factual information that's useful to what we're talking about at that point. And even opinions can have basis behind them, and we like to hear what the opinions are and what the basis are behind them. So what I would encourage, if I understood right, is people to come out. We're happy to have the questions, and please come prepared with factual information that's relevant and concise, so that we can make better informed decisions.
job, everyone.
All right, this is an easy question. What do you think are the most important qualities of an effective community leader?
Your ability to listen.
That's it. You've got it. That was concise.
It was a short question and it was a short answer. Thank you. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Poetry relies heavily on volunteers for essential tasks like road repair, town cleanups, tree trimming, and basic maintenance. However, it appears that a small group of dedicated citizens are shouldering most of these responsibilities. What steps do you feel council can make to foster a stronger culture of volunteerism and to encourage broader community participation in these efforts?
It's a great question. Part of what I feel like we need to do, poetry has so much talent that we're not using. And I think what we need to start doing is create citizen groups to do that research. Granted, the council now, they had a tough job, 4 years. The first 2 years just trying to find bottom. And then another 2 years, we finally start doing some things. But we're not relying on the people. We've got to pull them in. We've got to get them involved in our meetings. We've got to find a bigger place to have these meetings so they can get involved. Let's establish some community groups that can, hey, this is an issue we need to look at. Can y'all go and figure this out? Come back and report. They're not going to make decisions or anything like that. They're just simply going to report to the town council, and then we can draw on that. Most everybody works. We have other careers, other jobs. We're going to need the help of the citizens. Thank you.
Town council members are responsible for making decisions that will benefit the citizens and must be familiar with the laws that govern the town's operations. Knowledge of the legal framework is essential for a council member. Are you familiar, or to what extent are you familiar with the various laws and regulations that apply to municipal government?
Okay, that's a good question, a fair question. I don't know if that was turned in by a citizen or the secretaries, but for anyone to sit up here and say, yes, I know the law, and to the degree that someone would expect would be false. We have hired legal counsel, and legal counsel is used repeatedly. I do know, serving in this position, I have gotten a lot more familiar with the law, and you don't have to be a lawyer to interpret it. I think we have very intelligent people on this council. I believe in the desires of this council, and the willingness to do what's right will usually guide you in the right direction and ultimately keep this town from future litigation. So I don't know all the laws. I'm willing and able to learn those, but at the end of the day, we have hired legal counsel, and that's what we use them for.
Next question. Poll after poll shows that Americans have lost faith in their elected leaders. What concrete actions will you take to restore trust between the local government and the community it serves?
I think I'm gonna go back to what Jonathan said earlier, and that's listening. Listening is a cornerstone of any kind of decision that you're gonna make. We need a community to give us feedback on everything that this council does, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. We enjoy the praise, we enjoy the bad as well, because it gives us an opportunity to learn. Thank you.
If elected, you'll likely work with colleagues and constituents who have differing perspectives. How will you build a consensus, find common ground, and foster productive collaboration to achieve meaningful progress for the community?
Well, I think it starts with your relationship, obviously, with the folks that you serve at a council meeting. To get the respect from them, but yet it's the old proverbial, you've got to earn that respect as well. And hopefully that we all have that opportunity to learn each other, to get the respect that we need to go ahead and follow through, to get the respect from the community. It's kind of a domino effect, is being able to see the respect of what's going on the council table, and then putting it out into the citizens. and so that they can see the progress that's being made. And again, as you've heard tonight, of being able to get input and feedback along with respect to the council or to the citizens that actually come to the meetings. And, you know, it's not limited just to the meetings. You go out into the community, as others have spoke about, you know, promote the town is what I also hear from answers as well. Great town, let's promote it. What are we gonna promote? Let's just join together and come up with solutions on the table and get it out there. Thank you.
What specific measures will you implement to ensure transparency and accountability within your administration or as a councilman? And how will you actively uphold citizen trust?
Some items I'd like to implement for transparency would be one, fielding monthly meetings to where we can have open conversations and discussions to make sure we're all on the same page and we're understanding each other. I think it's really important. It's more important for me to understand you and how to advocate for you than you listening to me. I'm here to listen. I'm here to understand. If you tell me the sky's purple, I want to know why you think the sky's purple. I'd also like to see transparency and maybe something as simple as a running list of voting records for the council with a summary of what we voted on and an explanation, and then who voted for what, so you all can see what's going on, because that is honestly the meat of what the council does, is make decisions for the town on behalf of the town. And I think that's the most important thing you all can get from it, is understanding what decision was made and why. So, thank you.
Round two. Under your leadership, how do you envision improving our town? And what specific changes or initiatives will you prioritize to make this happen?
Well, as I've said earlier, the biggest threat in I-City is this Bishop Field development. It is huge and it will impact our town. We've been working, we've met with the TCEQ, the EPA, the legislature when we were down there 3 weeks ago, and they all are concerned about this. What can we do? But the problem is, it's outside of our town, and we can't do anything directly because it's in our ETJ. If it was in our town, it'd be different. So we have to work on two things, and one is, and this is what we were told. We were told that because the Texas is a property rights state, you can't just say, I don't like it, and turn it down, and it ain't gonna happen. But what we can do is look for the technical and legal issues that would be a problem for the Bishop Field. And so what I've been working on a lot, and what I would anticipate working on more in the next 2 years, is on these technical and legal issues that we think they are in violation of, and even though they're not in our town, that will dramatically affect our town, from the roads, the sewers, everything else. So we're trying to work on that, and I would encourage others who do have expertise in that area, those areas, to come into the town. Now, I'm a chemical engineer, and I've worked in the refineries and the tanks, and I understand the problem with the tank leakage. But there are other things, there's laws and other issues that I don't know, and there's specifically environmental constraints I don't know. So I would encourage those out in the town who do have expertise in those areas, the technical, environmental, and the legal area, who would be willing to help us in challenging Bishop Field. I think it would be very important and very useful. So that's what I would suggest over the next 2 years.
If elected, you'll likely work with colleagues and constituents that have different perspectives. How will you build a consensus and find common ground and foster productive collaboration to achieve this progress?
Well, that's probably one of the toughest things we face, is to find a common ground when it's a divisive subject. But you kind of have to boil it down to the essentials. One of the things was zoning. I'll use it as an example. Everybody likes not being told what to do and wants to be left alone. But you're also faced with having, people that want to be don't want to be good neighbors. They want to build a commercial site, or they want to have high density housing. So you have to balance, your needs and wants and come up with an idea. And I think we did. We had a pretty concise zoning document that we created that did that. And it's been evident in its year that it's been in use, it's worked pretty well. We haven't had a lot of development want to come in, and I'm doing everything in my life that I've been doing since it's gone, and nothing's affected me, and I haven't heard from any citizens that it's affecting them. So I guess the proof is in the pudding is what we've done. Thank you.
Can you share your vision for the town's development and what key initiatives will you focus on to drive that growth?
I don't think as much as growth as it is control. We've got to set up some development restrictions for the developers that will be coming in. Understand, our town is 286 feet of road and another 286 feet. Get a handle on that. Developers aren't coming here, they're gonna come here and just simply come through our little 286 feet. We've got to look at that. There are, I was talking to Representative Bell a couple weeks ago from Kaufman County, Keith Bell, and he says, go look at Ellis County. He says they have some of the most restrictive, comprehensive building regulations that he's seen. And so those are the kind of things that we need to go look at. We can't stop it, but we need to be able to control it. One of the places, and I wish everyone would go look at this little town. It's called Parker, Texas, out above the Fairfield. They don't have any commercial property. It's all residential. All of the commercial property is along the perimeter in Fairview and in Allen. They don't have any. They have churches and daycares and one or two little office buildings, but it's all residential. Go look at those towns. Please, please, please. We can follow that model and do this for the citizens, where we don't have to deal with commercial. We don't have much of a chance of getting commercial anyway, because we don't have the roads, we don't have the population, and that's going to be a problem we need to put off for another 5 years. We don't really have to deal with that. Thank you.
The best leaders recognize they serve at the pleasure of the people who elected them, actively seeking input and acting as a conduit to the community's needs and desires. What specific actions will you take to ensure that underrepresented voices are heard and considered in the decision-making process?
I think that's a definition that I would define my last 4 years as. As I spoke on it before, I am very attentive to all citizens. I'm not a big social media guy. Obviously, this time of year, it generates a little more questions, but I've made myself available through emails. I can honestly say I've never not returned an email, and I am that guy that wants to listen. Tonight we have heard the word listen so many times. If we was getting paid for it, we'd all be a little bit happier tonight. But the point to listen is more than just hearing. It is to truly take in that thought that they're expressing without trying to formulate your next response. Active listening, it's kind of like faith without works. If you're not listening and you're not acting on the betterment of the citizens, well then it's really worthless. I have been an advocate for citizen comments at our meetings. I think there is a lot of good in listening to the government process and being able to participate in it. And I think Tara at the last meeting said one of our council meetings said we'd voted on this 5 times, and it finally passed where they took away the citizens' comments. I voted for that 5 times to stay during the agenda items. So my record precedes me that I do want to hear from y'all. I want to hear from y'all when we're discussing it, because nobody up here knows the answers. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you that I have to spend a lot of time studying this, because I don't have the experience in municipal government. I've been a fireman my entire life, and I've been blessed with the abilities to participate in municipal government, but I don't have the answers. I want to draw this town to the picture that y'all view.
the end of the day, voters are placing significant trust in the person they elect to this office. Why should members of this community believe that you will be dedicated and a tireless advocate for their interests?
Good question. I have worked hard my entire life. When I was in high school, my 9th grade year, I got up at 5:30 in the morning and opened a little grocery store at I-30 in Ridge Road. Most of my adult career, I have worked 2 different jobs. I work for a corporate world and I work behind the chair. So I'm dedicated to this town. I'm dedicated to putting in the work and the time it takes to get the community involved and us all work together and have a great little town that we can be proud of.
How has your background equipped you to take on the responsibilities of this office? What specific experiences and qualifications make you well suited for this role, and how will they enable you to make an immediate impact starting day one?
Well, when I started 46 years ago, I had a head of hair. I still have some hair left. So the experience that I've had through those many years has been a tremendous blessing for me. And it's anywhere from helping run different departments. I've had the opportunity to fill in for city managers when it would either be on an interim basis or if they were on vacation. And the thing is that I've helped each department come together when they're faced with problems or issues that they have, that we've worked together, because we know if we jointly work together, things can get accomplished as you work together in that capacity. So, as I said before, one of my strong suits is obviously the trenches of municipal government. Our plans, our goals, our objectives, our priorities, our budget, and that's one thing that I also want to bring to the table is the ability to handle the budgets, good, bad, or indifferent, to be able to explain that to the community, to explain some of the issues maybe to our fellow council folks at the table. Those are what needs to happen, and if we can get together and contribute to information to the community, that would also help, because that's how a lot of communities work in departments, is what is their job to do to serve the community, and that's what we always want to make sure we approve on and run. Thank you.
What motivated you to run for this office, and what personal experiences or values shape your vision for serving this community?
Honestly, my main reason for doing this is my kids. Since we moved out here, every month, or at least every other month, they have said they love living out here. They love how quiet it is, how special it is. They love running around. That to me is my primary goal. And then secondary is just the town and being able to advocate for people. Being in healthcare, that's the expectation. I have to advocate for physicians, for my staff, for patients, for their family members. So this doesn't scare me at all. This, the fact that I can't harm anybody for the rest of their lives or kill them, that makes us actually very comfortable. It's not scary to me. So, that's it.
All right, round 3. Rather lengthy question. Effective governance requires balancing the need to address immediate crisis with the responsibility to invest for the future. If elected, you will likely face pressure to tackle urgent issues while planning for long-term growth and health and vitality in the community. How will you prioritize and allocate resources to effectively address both short-term challenges and long-term goals?
Well, I guess I'd say on the urgency or the really critical issues, I know several of us have taken the courses in management of how you handle emergencies when they occur. And we have had one out here where a truck rolled over, but I've had, I believe, all the courses, I think it's 5, through Mesquite. So I guess I am, as well as the mayor and a few others, are considered trained for being able to handle a certain amount of emergencies. As far as the long term, that's the financial side, is that we have to have the money to be able to continue doing what we're doing, and we have balanced budgets. And the way we are able to keep going is through volunteerism. And I'm not an advocate of us taking on a lot of other additional activities and expenses. I'm more focused on what we can do now, and then when we do need help, I'm a big advocate of asking for help and volunteers, which we do get a lot. The mayor and the council, we all give a lot of time to various activities, but there are a lot of people in the community that give a lot of time too. And so, to me, as we go forward in the long term, when we have issues where we need help, I'm not in favor of taking on a lot of money and or any debt, because we can't do a property tax, but I am in favor of continuing to ask for volunteers, both in the council, which we do, as well as in the community. And there are a lot of people who can volunteer and contribute in a lot of technical and various ways.
How has your background equipped you to take on the responsibilities of this office? What specific experiences and qualifications make you well suited for this role, and how will they enable you to make an immediate impact starting day one?
Well, in my professional career, I'm tasked with fixing cars, basically. I put it the simple way. But you have the constraints of what the customer's budget is, and because who would like to go out and buy a new car every time yours acts up? We all would. It's just not financially responsible. And Mr. Collinsworth taught me a long time ago to put myself on the other side of the counter, because they're coming in, and this is just the problem that you're identifying, but it's their third problem this week. And they got kids that got a project that have to be done, and they got the insurance bill coming up, and there's all these things that are in their life that they have a challenge with trying to meet. And my position is, I was always, what can I do to serve my customer to get them through the next day in an economical and efficient way, and so that they can continue to go on. Thank you.
All candidates want to protect poetry from development and keep the rural way of life. What separates you from these other candidates?
Great question. As you know, I've been in the real estate business for 50 years. I've worked for developers. I've worked for towns, Seagoville, Rockwall. Worked for the developer in bringing Costco, getting that deal in Rockwall. But I also worked with the town of Rockwall to how do we get these tax incentives to bring Costco to town. So in this group, I'm often known as the developer in the room. I'm not necessarily the developer. I work for my client. And in this situation, you're my client. The town is my client. The advantage you have with me is I've been around it. Maybe from the other side looking in, not from the outside looking out, but I do know the issues. I can deal with them. I have a good grasp of these types of issues. Understand, why are you here? Real estate, because you own real estate. You're here to protect your real estate. And I've done this for 50 years. I know what you need. I know what we can do to protect that. We're all here. What is the biggest piece of retirement we have in this town? All you gray hairs. Our real estate. Yeah. Our property rights. When we become decided to be a community, what did we do? A group of citizens got together. We're going to try our hand at self-government. And in order to do that, we've got to be able to give up some of our rights or share in that rights. And that's what we did 4 years ago. And so that's what we've got to continue. We've got to just pull it all together and understand it. We've got to dig down, we've got to learn the data. And I applaud the town council for the last 4 years. They've spent 2 years just trying to find that bottom. I've said it before. They've done a good job, but it's time now that we take that next step. Thank you.
How will you ensure meaningful and productive resident participation in our town's decision-making process?
So some of these are starting to run together, and y'all have heard a lot of answers tonight. It's a resounding theme that I want community involvement. Y'all participating tonight is proof that one, y'all want the involvement too, and you want to make informed decisions. I think council's ability to have open discussions. We're not rushed into many of the decisions we make, and I think that we could let a lot of these boil down a little bit further and get that involvement. I do believe as the citizens feel informed and feel invited into the process, I do think that's going to help us start building a better city. I know it's been said by a couple of different councilmen, either online or the last meeting, of forming these community groups. That wasn't my idea. I'm not going to take that away from anybody, but I will support that. That's a great idea. We've known in the past that we have a lot of intelligent people, a lot of hardworking citizens in this town that are willing to help. We have Marty Murphy, good friend of Mike's, is a road guy, and I think he would be willing to step back in the right circumstances and tell us what we don't know and educate us. And I think the more we can become educated, the more we can inform the citizens, and the more that we can work collaboratively together, I think it will help us build the town that we all truly desire.
What are 3 of the most important priorities you have for this town, and what specific actions will you take to achieve them?
Oh, the 3 most important priorities. Government that aligns would be number 1. Keeping it rural would be number 2. And involvement would be number 3. And what was the second part of your question?
How are you going to make that happen?
How am I going to make that happen? I'm not sure how I'm going to make that happen, but if I'm elected to council, I will work hard with my council members, and we will get it done.
What motivated you to run for this office, and what are your personal experiences or values that shape your vision for this community?
Well, I've been going to council meetings for over a year now, based on seeing some of the needs that are going to be facing the council in the community. And I have spoke to council, our council, based on not just going in there and saying, by golly, you got to do this and you got to do that. It's more being cautioned in the wind. If we need to develop some guidelines, we need to develop some structure of revenue and things like that I wanted to participate. So with my experience, those are some of the key components of being successful in a community, is being able to share those visions and also to make sure that we do complete those visions as well. So again, you know, with a lot of experience that I've had, you know, my wife's put up with me for that long of a time and being in emergency services. So it's nothing for me to get up in the middle of the night to do whatever I needed to do for the community that I serve. And anywhere that I work, anywhere that I live, I serve the community. And it sounds corny, but that's all I got in my gut and my heart, is to do what's best for the community. And that's why I always was at the council meeting, because I was there to lend any kind of help that I could at that time with my experience, and I hope I get to pass that on. Thank you.
While collaboration between the council and the mayor is essential for effective government, how will you maintain productive working relationships and navigate disagreements with mutual respect and openness to different perspectives?
For me, that's actually an easy question. Being respectful, communicating clearly, and no matter how upset someone gets or disrespectful they are, still being respectful. Again, we all heard, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I'm not going to be the second wrong. I refuse. I don't want to be part of the problem. I know people make mistakes and have emotions, and that's okay, and I don't take it personally. Story of my life, I've been yelled at by physicians, nurses, patients, families. Again, I'm not afraid to be yelled at. I can hold my calm and be productive, because that is what I'm here for, and that's what I'm signing up for, and that's what I'm agreeing to. So, thank you.
That concludes our 3rd round of questions, and now we'll move to closing statements. And we'll start with our mayor. And Mike, you go first. Mike, you went first the first time, so you'll go first the second time. And then
You can take 3 minutes if you care.
3 minutes.
I go first?
Yes,
You're
sir.
first. We'll keep it going straight. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was thinking we're in a church, so I'll do the good Baptist preacher thing and land on 3 points here. The first one is, and it kind of occurs to me as I think about our last 4 years here on the council, is, in my world at least, the ends don't always justify the means. I think on a number of occasions in the 4 years that I've served on the council, we've done things in such a way that we sort of lost the respect of the citizens, right? I mean, we may have accomplished a good thing, but the way that we went about it didn't, in my opinion, respect the citizens and their opinions, and we didn't do it in kind of a unified way. We didn't even do it unified on the council, let alone community-wide. So I think that was a big issue. Second point, unrelated, I've been out in poetry for 25 or 6 or however many years, and I can tell you I've been serving this community in one way or another every day of those 25 or 26 years. Whether it be this church, we were members of this church for a while and helped do a lot of remodeling and kind of get it back on its legs, helping people broke down on the side of the road, fellow ranchers, just whatever it takes. I have a servant's heart like some of the others up here on the pulpit, and I will continue to serve this. I want to be your mayor, don't misunderstand me, but I will continue to serve this community whether I'm a mayor or not, because like others, it's just who I am. I just like helping people, and it gets me in trouble. One of the hardest words in my world is no. And I've learned to master saying no, but I'm not good at it because I much more enjoy saying yes because I want to help people. And the last thing I'll bring up, and Tara kind of brought it up earlier in her discussion, is this grant. I spent some time on the phone with Crystal down in Austin in the Texas Department of Agriculture talking about our application and talking about the grant and kind of the realities of it. And I'm not going to stand here and say that grants are a bad thing, but I am going to stand here and say I think we need to keep perspective on this grant and other grants and just understand. In my world, a grant is a little bit like buying a lottery ticket and then not going out and getting a day job because you're just convinced that that lottery ticket is going to pay off and you're not going to have to go to work. It's risky, right? We are down on the list of candidates accurately as Tara portrayed it, but it's for next year's consideration, and there is no guarantee, in the words of the people at the TDA, that there's even going to be money next year to be given out in grants. So I think there is a possibility, but I wouldn't say that that's going to be our solution to fixing roads for the next year or two. We're going to have to come up with other things. So again, I think letting the citizens have all of the information, being transparent as we talked about tonight, is going to be important. Let them know the goods and bads. Let them kind of buy in with us so that we're all in this together rather than it's sort of the council or the mayor versus the citizens or whatever. We need to work together and communicate.
To address something that he just said. So, talking to a grant expert, he's...
Oh, question. No, this is closing statement.
This is a closing statement, so I have, so I have room.
Stop.
In fact, she gave us cards to write down things.
Yep.
So thank you. So in the talking with a grant expert, he did say in the North Texas COG, we are number 11. So that means that they'll probably go to all the way to number 12. And he said additionally, some get booted out because they decided they have money elsewhere they can pull in. So he said we have a really, really good chance of being in that, we are in the queue for 2026, according to the grant expert. So I do want to close with, the people often ask me the how and why of what I'm doing. I spend between 10 and 40 hours each week serving this town and its people as mayor for the last 4 years. I have put the town's needs above just about almost everything else. So from road work to accounts payable to septic approvals, I try to get those done in 24 hours, to purchasing items for the town needs, preparing legal documents, town budget, to payroll and payroll taxes. The task of running a town were much more than I imagined. It has similarities to running a small business, but is much more. So I've started 3 small businesses, but like the 15-year mayor of Union Valley, Mayor Craig, said, he said, "Hey, Mayor, if you get a master list of all the legal deadlines, please send it to me." There's just so many legal deadlines. This job took about 2 years to really figure out. It has gotten easier, and we are in a good stride right now. So our part-time secretaries have been here for over a year and doing well. They still require some assistance from a volunteer for website-related items, and Josh still assists regularly with all kinds of tech help. We have been debt-free. Our town building is in our town building for about a year and a half. We're out of the feed store office and paying our own bills, which is good. Because we have a high-speed internet, we can now stream our meetings at the town hall. And citizens are able to speak each and every meeting at the front of the meeting now, and they don't have to wait through a long meeting. I've had so many complain that they don't want to have to wait through a long meeting, so now they get to speak at the very front. And there's many people who are happy about that. My favorite thing is to talk with our citizens and find solutions for their concerns. We have no property taxes, no debt, and we have no high-density housing developments in town. We have a zoning plan which is protective but yet not overbearing. We have thwarted a handful of negative developments in a year's time, and I'm very excited about that. I am also excited by God's grace for the grant. Firstly, I do serve God, a great God. The joy of the Lord is my strength. I have a great husband, and we have great volunteer teams from committees to roads. Bob Bowles, our sound engineer. We have been blessed with wonderful, wonderful teamwork. I want to thank you for that, and thank you for the rascals out there even. You have made me better, more resilient, and stronger than I would ever have been without you.
Over the past 4 years, the council has had a lot of achievements, including starting the town from scratch. And I'm proud to have been part of it. These 4 years, I helped the mayor and the town in developing the revenue sources, creating budgets, negotiating interlocal agreements, implementing trash service, co-signing checks, developing a zoning ordinance, developing a boundary map, relocating and refurbishing a building for town hall, developing a ranking system for prioritizing road repairs, editing the Poetry Post newspaper, developing a format for efficient town council meetings, and helping challenge the Bishop Field housing development. I want to keep Poetry a small, rural, agricultural town. But the question is, how do we keep it the Poetry we love? Well, Bishop Field, adjacent to Poetry, it's outside of our boundaries, and it's outside of our control, but it will have a huge impact on us. And so the Mayor Sankovich, Mayor Pro Tem Blake, Ryan Lukes, and I have all had discussions with TCEQ, EPA, and the Texas legislators about Bishop Field. We were all told it's a property rights state, and the project can't be stopped just because you don't like it. We have to raise technical and legal basis for the challenge, and that's what we're doing. Well then, why are we challenging the development? Well, in my opinion, we have 3 choices. First, we can be proactive and try to make this happen in challenging it. Second, we could sit back and watch it happen. And then third, we could ignore the whole thing until we see it built and then say, what happened? Well, Mayor Sankovich, Mayor Pro Tem Blake, Ryan Lukes, and I are all taking the first choice. We anticipate the developers of Bishop Field will continue moving forward until they meet technical, economic, or legal resistance. Builders that I've known don't back down easily. The four of us see that if we're to have a chance at maintaining the poetry environment we love, we have to act with urgency at Bishop Field. We have to understand the technical, economic, and legal conditions that are part of Bishop Field and use them to challenge. We will not wait until the construction's underway to then say, what happened? Well, in 1 month, you're going to have a decision to make on who you're going to elect for the mayor and the council. And if you're interested in challenging Bishop Field, I urge you to vote for those that are working on it right now, and that's the Mayor Sankovich, Mayor Pro Tem Blake, Ryan Lukes, and myself. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Tom.
I know you're all worried I'm going to take the whole 3 minutes. That's not the case. Really, I want to thank you all for coming out and listening to all of us. It really makes the whole system work. We really probably have the easy part of it. Y'all have the hard, tough decisions to make now. You have to decide who to vote for. And I just ask that you ask your Lord and have him lay it on your heart who you should vote for. That's who I asked when I needed to decide whether I wanted to run or not. And that's all I really have to say this evening. God bless poetry.
Well, I had a little different closing statement, but I can't let this Bishop Airfield slip by us. There's some good news and bad news about Bishop Airfield. The good news is that it's going to take, or the bad news is, it's not a matter of yay or nay, the development. That's not the question that the TCEQ is dealing with. There's a list, A, B, C, D, that you have to, all of these requirements. If you meet those requirements, if you cross every T and dot every I, you're going to get a permit. We can't stop that. Understand that. The good news is this process is probably going to take 1.5 to 2 years for them to get it approved. We've got 1.5 to 2 years to get our regulations in place. What's going to happen is they're going to go through, they're going to get this thing approved. Then it's going to come back and go through engineering. They've got to design it. They've got to design a water system, a sewer system, a drainage system, roads, utilities. Then they're going to take this big package. It's probably going to take 9 months just to draw it up and take it to the county. If we have the time to get our restrictions in place, the county's going to look at us too. Hey, they're in our ETJ. They're 400 lots or however many lots you want to say it. Those lots are going to impact Poetry's roads. And for that, they're going to have to pay a fee. I've said it before and I'll say it again, that we need to establish a pay-to-play process. And we can do that. They're talking about the water wells, and talking about all of the underground storage tanks. Understand there's been a law in place for over 40 years about underground storage tanks. They have to be registered. Did you know there's no registered tanks out there? I talked to them yesterday. You know what they told me? Give me some good information, good solid data, bring it to us, file a complaint, and I'll send a team out there to investigate. We don't have it, people. We're using scare tactics. We don't have time for this crap. Okay? What we need to do is understand what they've got to go through to do, get the regulations in place, and then we can go down to the county and we can talk about it. And that's how we're going to win these kinds of things. Good solution, hard work. Thank you.
I think we're hearing a lot more passion in his closing statements than I've anticipated for sure. But I think we can all appreciate the level of care and sincerity that everybody's expressed tonight. So I didn't prepare a closing statement. As y'all know, I'm really sincere in everything I say. I'm passionate about what I do. I think the elephant in the room for me tonight is the listening and what we're advertising we're doing and what we're actually doing. So when this town was founded and these council meetings started, to berate the point, but just so when everybody is clear, citizens were given the ability to talk 2 minutes, maybe 3, I can't remember, 2 minutes on every single agenda item. Council would discuss it, throw our beliefs and thoughts in the air, citizens would come up, and a lot of times, I'm going to admit, and anybody that doesn't, I would challenge that, citizens have either changed our path or either totally wrecked what we was thinking and we had to go another direction. To me, there's value in that. So tonight, Tara mentions that the general comments have been moved to the beginning of the meeting because citizens had complained that they didn't want to stay through the long meetings. I'm okay with that. But we also had the ability that night that vote was cast to leave the comments section on every agenda item. We could have moved the general comments to the beginning. Those who want to come say what they want to say and go home, they could have. But that night, 2 of these people that say they're going to listen to you voted that they didn't want to listen to you during those comments any longer. They want to hear your conversation up front before we've ever discussed it, and then that's it. That's the end of it. You can reach out by phone, you can reach out by email, but I've heard from somebody out here that they don't reply to those either. After that meeting, I had an informal meeting with Tara and 2 citizens, and I'm really passionate about listening to these citizens. And that night I questioned her. I said, we voted on this 4 or 5 times now, and you got what you wanted tonight, didn't you, Tara? You silenced the citizens. Her reply was, I sure did.
It's been an interesting evening. I've enjoyed any comments, so I'm going to end with mine. Imagine navigating change in direction. I think that's where we're about to venture, is a change in direction. So what would you want your guide to be? First of all, I want God to guide any decision that the next council faces. But I'd also want to work with people who are eager to get the job done, eager to work with their colleagues, eager to discuss all agenda items openly and freely without, I don't want to say negative, but without all the backlash. The job of a mayor is to be a moderator of the meeting, not to give input. They can give a little bit of input to the council, but it's mostly the council that makes the decisions, not the mayor. So let's move forward. Let's take our town back. Let's take our council back to the way it was intended. Strong council, weak mayor. I appreciate your time tonight. Pastor Jacob, I appreciate you letting us use the facilities, and to the city secretaries, I appreciate your time and effort in putting this together. Have a good night.
Well, this evening, today, I sat and just some remarks that I was going to have, but, listen to the remarks of this evening and y'all's hearing it. If you want to know what I'm about, my bio is out on the table there. I've accomplished a lot of things, involved with a lot of people. I'm a fireman too. And it's hard for me to talk about the brotherhood, but it's a team. We're not individuals. We're a team. And that's what I bring to the table is I want y'all to be part of our team is being on the council. I appreciate and respect everyone here. It is a lot of work to stand up in here and talk and give you ideals and views that we hope as a team that we can work together. I've done a lot of group talk with my guys. At one time, if I had an ideal, I'd go to the kitchen table. That's where usually a lot of discussions are done, at the kitchen table in the fire station. Guys, I got an ideal. what do you think if we were to do such and such and do this and all that? They'd ask me questions, I would give them the best answers. If I didn't, I'd go and research it, find out. And then as a team, we came up with a solution that ended up with a successful outcome. And that's where I am at with y'all. I'm part of y'all's team, part of a team on the council if elected, but that's God's will. And I appreciate it. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody here on this dais here, because it does take a lot of work and planning on our part individually, and to get up here and show our feelings. And I apologize for mine, but it does mean a lot to serve with me. Thank you.
Similar to a couple other candidates, I had something prepared, but I'm going to cut a lot of it out and just kind of get to the point for everybody. Thanks for everyone for coming out and supporting the town. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to figure it out. All I care about is getting the basics right and doing what is right. Poetry deserves leaders who match its values, and I'm ready to be your voice and your advocate. The only other thing I have to say is go out and vote, please. Just vote. Ask your neighbors to vote. That's really what you all can do, and really tell this group what you want. Other than that, thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Thank each of you for coming tonight. Thank you for our candidates who also bravely shared what they see as a vision. I'm an outsider. I don't live in this community. I live over in Rockwall. But I pastor this church, and I've been here almost 2 years. And let me tell you an outsider's perspective of this little town. Y'all are awesome.
Amen.
Really. In 2 years' time, I have heard nothing but positive things from each of you. People I've met at the store, at the feed store, other places. You guys have a reputation that goes beyond the city council, or goes beyond the city limits. It does. Y'all are awesome. And I appreciate the fact that I get to pastor a church here in this small community. And so I just want to challenge you as you're contemplating the vote. Remember what makes this place special. It's the people. It's y'all. And you do a great job. And I know you will do a great job when it comes time to cast that ballot. You'll do so with hopefully wisdom. You'll do so with conviction. And you remember that we may not always agree, but we don't have to be disagreeable. Not in this community. It's a great place. And so on behalf of our church, we are honored to have you here. We'd love to have you here on Sunday morning too. And so we're grateful for all that. So with all that, we're dismissed.